Joining us now to weigh in, White House reporter for the Washington Examiner, Sarah Westwood. Sarah, what do you make of the president's comments on Twitter to these indictments?
Well, I think President Trump has a bit of a point. If the Russia's goal was to sow discord in the political system, to undermine the public's trust in their institutions, then that seems to be served by the fact that partisans, particularly on the left, have put so much focus on the Russia investigation. And I think over the weekend we saw a bit of a conflation of the issues of collusion and interference, with a lot of folks in the media and Democrats taking something of a victory lap that President Trump has described this as a hoax, and now we know it's anything but. President Trump's never actually called Russian interference a hoax. What he referred to as a witch hunt, as fake news, was the allegations of collusion. And so far, this indictment has served to weaken the collusion case that Democrats had before.
President Trump did tweet that, Sarah, over the weekend, that he said he never said Russia didn't meddle in the election. And but he did say, and I remember that, I think it was during one of the debates, and he tweeted about this over the weekend, it could have been China, Russia, or some 400-pound guy in his bed with a computer. So that comment back in the day did seem to dismiss what we now know through these indictments were Russians meddling in our election process.
Absolutely. He definitely downplayed the significance of the interference. He dismissed the fact that it could even be the Russians. You're right. He speculated about different culprits earlier in the process. He eventually came around to supporting the intelligence community's conclusions and even confronting Putin about it. But he hasn't done enough in the eyes of many of his critics to prepare for future efforts in future elections. And there are some who say that the fact that he has minimized Russian interference in the 2016 election means that the administration may not prepare adequately for interference in 2018 and beyond.
Hey, Sarah, Mitch Rochelle. You know, I watched all sorts of shows yesterday morning, and, you know, people sort of want to spin it the way they want to spin it, and this is sort of bouncing around an echo chamber. So the question is, when does this end? Does it take some definitive ruling by Mueller's investigation, or does this just continue into the midterm elections and throughout at least Trump's first term?
Well, we don't know when Mueller is going to wind down his probe, but we do know there are a lot of really serious unanswered questions still hanging over the Russian interference situation, namely the hacking of the DNC, the hacking of John Podesta's inbox, the distribution of those stolen emails, the way they were weaponized during the election. Those are some pretty key questions. That was always the most significant, tangible thing that Russia did in the election. I mean, keep in mind, Facebook executives testified before Congress that ultimately the amount of ads the Russians bought were just a low six-figure ad buy. It's just a drop in the bucket. So what was really serious was this information campaign based on stolen emails, and we haven't heard anything about that. Once we get to there, I think we will start to see maybe the probe wind down.
Hi, Steve Rogers here. You know, the president all along was right about collusion, and unfortunately the mainstream media had become the judge, jury, and executioner. And now we have a report that mentions nothing about collusion. In fact, it steers away from that. So the point is this: can we now conclude that and admit that the president was right all along?
I think that this indictment was sort of a reality check for partisans on both sides, because it didn't fit cleanly with either narrative. You're right. This indictment makes clear that so far the special counsel has found no evidence of collusion, that Russia's efforts were not just aimed at helping Trump and hurting Hillary Clinton. The goal was just to create a sense of chaos in the political system more broadly. But for Republicans, it's a bit of a wake-up call. Shows that the Russian efforts were advanced. They were widespread, and that many of the efforts did go in the direction of helping Trump, hurting Hillary Clinton. So I think both sides had their narrative scrambled a little bit by this indictment.
I will bring this up, Jessica, to you. Rush Limbaugh even said yesterday on Fox News Sunday, I'd be careful if I were POTUS. The recent indictments are just one level of this investigation. The danger for the president would be for him to totally embrace this and say he's vindicated and validate the investigation. The investigation is all about setting up Donald Trump. He is the target. That was from Rush Limbaugh.
Well, I think the president would be wise to heed Rush Limbaugh and to take a little time off of that phone. It's been almost 72 hours since these indictments came down, and he has yet to actually condemn Russia or say that he's going to put those sanctions on, which there were only two people who voted against them, one of which was Bernie Sanders. And that was an important element of this, too, that Bernie Sanders and Jill Stein were both helped by Russian efforts. So it was really anyone but Hillary.
I'll let you finish, but just to point something out that the Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin did comment last week.
I'm talking about
that they're working on implementing those Russia sanctions. So
I anxiously await that, but that's also Steve Mnuchin and not the president himself, who seems to have a really tough time overtly condemning Russia and a very easy time condemning everyone else, even blaming the FBI for what happened in Parkland, which I thought was the most abhorrent tweet of the weekend.
Do you want to add? Let me ask Sarah about that, because that was the one tweet that got the most attention. And I was on Outnumbered on Friday with Jessica, and I was clearly, I think every American has a right to be upset about the FBI's failures when it comes to cracking down on terrorists and violent criminals in this country, and we point to the shooter in Parkland. But President Trump essentially, in one tweet, exploits that and makes it about, well, where was Russia? Where was the FBI? They were busy with the Russia investigation. How does that help him?
It's not clear how it does help him, because obviously the two are unrelated. The office in Florida that would have handled that kind of tip would have virtually no contact with the team here in Washington that's working on the Russia investigation. So I think there's a little bit more rhetoric than reality at play with that tweet, but there's no question that the FBI has been already going through a bit of a PR nightmare lately. This is a bad time for the Bureau to be hit with this kind of scrutiny. But again, the two are totally disconnected. It's not clear what benefit President Trump thought he was gaining with that
I want to
tweet.
get your response to this, Steve, because there's a very big difference between an average citizen or even some talking head like myself on TV being upset about the FBI's handling of the Cruz, the murder in Parkland, and how they've handled with the FISA court and the spying of Carter Page. But for the president to come out and say that, it does look like he's trying to exploit a horrific tragedy in American history.
Dagan, I don't think so. I've got to tell you that it's the leadership of the FBI, not the field officers, that really dropped the ball on this. They set the priorities, and believe me, I've been in law enforcement 38 years, and I could tell you, in my view, the FBI should have been more focused on this particular incident than anything else when the video came out with the language and the other evidence. So I believe he was actually focusing in on, and he probably could articulate a little bit better, but the fact of the matter is, I believe he was talking about the priorities being set by FBI leadership in Washington,
But there are
D.C.
35,000 FBI agents. There are a lot of people out there. There are enough to be handling the Mueller investigation and all the components of that. And to stop, really, 35,000 sounds like enough people.
Not true. I've been there. I worked there. I've worked in law enforcement.
I do appreciate that, and thank you for your service. But the idea that the president would bring Russian collusion and this witch hunt that he takes, witch hunt, I put in quotes,
it is a witch hunt.
so personally, when you have one of the deadliest mass shootings in America and there are 17 dead teenagers,
and he's a father,
horrifying.
and he's a family member, and he has a heart.
He could have ended his tweet, very sad that the FBI missed all the many signals sent out by the Florida school shooter. This is not acceptable.
Period.
Full stop. End of tweet.
Yeah.
I think that it was the second part of it, talking about they're spending too much time to prove Russia collusion with the Trump campaign. That's what upset Steve.
I understand, but I believe his intent was really to say, hey, look, the FBI's leadership could have done a lot better.